never belongs to you. It's just your turn.
Rich guys and hot guys get cheated on like everybody else. You lost your edge, she lost attraction. That's how it works. Don't just give her your attention. Make her earn it.
What'd you think she was gonna do? Tell you she cheated?
Live from Philadelphia, your man, Donovan Sharpe.
What's up, guys? It's your man, Donovan Sharpe, and welcome to the 510th edition of TSR Primetime. Your nightly dose of Red Pill truth, wisdom, and awareness. We are presented, as always, by Gorilla Mind Rush, which is by far and away the best supplement I have ever used for focus, concentration, and energy. Better even than modafinil. Modafinil works well. Gorilla Mind Rush works much better. Just 2 tablets in the morning gives you laser focus for hours without the crash. And the best part about Gorilla Mind Rush is that it is non-habit forming. You're Superman when you use it, but if you don't, you're Clark Kent, or at least you're not Bizarro Superman for all my comic book nerds out there. There's no withdrawal whatsoever. And for a limited time, for the next 24 hours, use promo code Donovan Gorilla to get 15% off. That is capital DONOVAN, capital GORILLA to get 15% off. No spaces. It is case sensitive. So go to DonovanSharpe.com/Gorilla Mind Rush and use promo code Donovan Gorilla to get 15% off of your entire order. It is Monday, September 16th, 2019. It is good to have you guys in tonight. For those of you who have followed me for an extended period of time, you guys know that during the fall, I've moved my show back. And originally, I was going to start the show at 6, but I decided that 6:30 was probably a better time. Maybe allow a few more people to get home, watch this from the comfort of their own home instead of on the drive home from work. So here we are. As always, we are streaming live to YouTube and Twitter via Periscope. So however you're watching, wherever you're watching from, thank you for making the Sharpe Reality Primetime a part of your evening. All right, let's get right to it. A special thanks goes out to Gary J for today's topic. And the article that Gary sent in was written by Holly Riordan, who is a feminist blogger and writer for thoughtcatalog.com, which is, of course, another website that leads women astray with their articles. Now, before I get into today's topic, let's take a look at Miss Riordan. Let's take a look at who she is. Now, the first thing that we'll notice about her, or the first thing that I noticed about her, is that she's married, which is a rarity within the feminist culture. Feminists rarely get married, but when they do, they end up marrying guys like this. Which leads me, I guess, to observation number 2, which is not a rarity, and that she is clearly not sexually attracted to her husband. Take a look at your screen, guys. Look at the photo. Look at the picture on the left. He is leaning in for a kiss. She is not only leaning away, she looks like she could not be more uncomfortable. This looks like an awkward cheek kiss from an ex-boyfriend. She is clearly not aroused by or sexually attracted to her husband. You look at the photo on the right, again, she's leaning away. She's also paying more attention to the camera than she is to him. Right? He's leaning in, she's leaning. Look how she tilts her head away. This is unbelievable. Listen, again, this is body language 101. And oh, by the way, Modern Life Dating's Body Language Mastery Course, Quarter 3, is going to be dropping September 27th, which is going to be 11 short days from today. So be sure to get your hands on that. Let's go to the next set of photos here. There we are. Here we are. More leaning away, right? You can even see the slight leans, guys. She doesn't have to be way back like Sierra does with Russell Wilson. But just notice, he is leaning into her, and I'm looking at the photo on the left here. She's leaning away from him. Even though they've got the cheesy coffee mugs, that's what she said, and I said yes, and the wedding ring and all, she is still leaning away. Then look at the photo on the right. I'm assuming that this is his mother or her mother or whoever. But even though she is facing her husband, she is still tilting her head. He is leaning into her. She is leaning away from him. Gentlemen, this is the body language of a woman who is not aroused by the man she's with. Again, this is body language 101. Let's take a look at another photo. And this one is much more telling. So in the upper left-hand corner, you see her husband with his shit-eating grin, cheeseburger smile. In the middle, there's Holly, but she's leaning into someone who is not her husband. You see this girl's body language? She is leaning, she is pressing herself into this guy, and he's even throwing up a peace sign. You see the peace sign he's throwing up underneath? It looks as though part of his hand is probably touching her breast, which is not an accident. Guys, again, body language never lies, guys. You really have to pay attention and look at these kinds of things. Her husband is on the left. She is leaning away from him. There is another dude on the right she is leaning into, and he's probably grazing her breast. This is unbelievable. Let's take a look at another set of photos. I'm going to remove myself from the screen so that you guys can see all of them here. The second observation, or the third observation, is that Holly has just about every banana gobbler tell under the sun. Slutface? Check. Choker? Check. Navel piercing? Check. And for those of you guys looking for the navel piercing, it's on the bottom left. Mirror selfies? Check. Tattoos? Check. So even though she's married, it's evident that she's probably cheated on her husband countless times. She might even be cheating right now with the bearded dude that she was leaning into in the last photo. So it's obvious that even though Mrs. Riordan is married, it appears that she conducts herself as though she is not, which isn't surprising. Anyhow, she wrote an article entitled 9 Things That Happen When You Love Someone Manipulative. And to her credit, her headings would actually lead you to believe that what she talks about really are being facilitated by a manipulative man. But if you read this article through a red pill lens, it becomes crystal clear that these are the musings of a woman who wants a man that she can manipulate, a man who doesn't hold her accountable, a man who doesn't demand her best, a man who allows her to behave in such a way that leads men to believe that she's in an open marriage, a man who allows her to have girls' night out, a man who allows her to keep in touch with her exes, a man who allows her to keep in touch with past flings, the kind of man she ended up marrying. So like Jason Silver, who teaches women how to become attractive to men like him, men who are effeminate, men who worship females, men who thinks women like Hannah Brown are boss bitches, Holly Riordan is teaching women how to become attractive to men like her husband, who doesn't even come close to resembling a man who has himself together. So here's a lesson for the ladies. Stop taking relationship advice from women who are married to men you would never sleep with or consider committing to. This is like taking fitness advice from a fat girl or getting financial advice from someone who is perpetually broke. If you go to a jiu-jitsu class and you can kick the instructor's ass, you're in the wrong studio. You're in the wrong class. If a female giving you relationship advice is married to a sloppy, overweight neckbeard who put a "that's what she said" joke on a coffee mug, you're listening to the wrong woman. Guys, listen, the reason I've sold hundreds of my 7-hour, 5-part audio course, How to Build a Quality Woman from the Ground Up, and you can get that at donovansharpe.com/courses, donovansharpe.com/courses. But the reason why I've sold hundreds of those is because guys see Devin and they know that what I teach works. They see an attractive woman with a smoking body who loves to cook and lives for making me happy. They see that I walk the walk. That's why they listen when I talk the talk. Holly Riordan talks the talk, but as we're going to see, her warnings are little more than a guide on how to repel the men you really want by seeing his standards and expectations as manipulative. So let's go ahead and get started here. 9 things that happen when you love someone manipulative. Number 1, you spend a lot of time apologizing. For some reason, she says, you always feel like fights are your fault. Even when you start out angry at your person for hurting your feelings, they always find a way to turn the situation around to make you look like the bad guy. They never take the blame themselves. You're always the one saying sorry, the one feeling guilty, the one begging for the relationship not to end. Gentlemen, what you're going to have to understand about today's women is that they believe that behaviors conducive to infidelity and cheating are healthy and normal. And because of this, they're not going to react well when you tell them that you don't date women who go to bars or clubs, that you don't date women who keep in contact with men they've had sex with in the past, and that she is to show you her phone whenever you instruct her to in order to be in a committed relationship with you. Now, most women won't give up clubs. Most women will not give up keeping in contact with their ex-flings. Most women will not give up their phones for commitment because, number one, they're used to getting commitment for nothing. And number two, they can't imagine living their lives without entertaining multiple men who are all trying to get at her. But every so often, you will meet a girl who really does want to be with you and is willing to pay the price. At least she is at first. Women can say whatever they want, guys. We know not to believe anything that comes out of their mouths as a matter of common red pill sense. No, we watch their actions. And when the rubber meets the road, most women who say they're willing to do what it takes to be with a man like you figure out very quickly that it's a lot easier said than done. And the very first time a man of value reprimands the behavior she said she'd stop, she apologizes. Now, to be fair, we as men, we have to expect that there is going to be a learning curve, okay? Women aren't used to being with red pill aware men, so it stands to reason that they're going to slip up now and again, because remember, these are habits that we are trying to break. So we can't expect perfection. By the same token, we must be steadfast in our beliefs and never give a single inch when it comes to things that we will not tolerate. So when we tell her that she can reactivate her Facebook page to make sure she also changes her relationship status to single, she's going to get angry. She'll try to start a fight and accuse you of hurting her feelings. Now, at this point, you calmly tell her, look, I'm not going to put a gun to your head, sweetie. I'm giving you a choice. You can either have Facebook or you can have this relationship, but you're not going to have both. So hurry up and make your choice because I've got better shit to do than to argue with my soon-to-be ex-girlfriend. Realizing that she doesn't want the relationship to end, she apologizes and drops the subject. Women aren't used to this kind of leadership, guys. So after the smoke clears, she'll call up her friend, Holly, who tells her, OMG, he totally turned this around on you to make you look like the bad guy. Why are you always apologizing to him anyway? You're too good for him, girl, and stop begging him not to leave. What does her dumbass do? Her dumbass follows this ridiculous advice and ends up sabotaging a relationship with a man she truly loves and respects, all because her friend, Holly Riordan, told her she apologizes too much. Number 2, your self-esteem drops significantly. She continues, before you started dating your person, you considered yourself a strong and independent. But now you aren't so sure of yourself. You spend a lot of time questioning your opinions, your emotions, your memory, and your worth. Your person's constant backhanded compliments and silent treatments have taken a toll on you. We notice that she says your person. That is a very disrespectful tack. No, women don't find their person. They find their man. A man chooses you. Enough with all of this person stuff. We even have guys saying this stuff. Well, I can't wait to find my person. Dude, are you looking to find a woman or are you looking to find a person? Anyway, what a lot of people fail to realize, and this is men and women, but what a lot of people fail to realize is that in order to undergo a radical change that makes you better, in order to undergo a renaissance that improves you, you've got to get your ego completely destroyed. You need to be taken down as many pegs as necessary that makes you realize that you need to change. Okay? Michael Jordan got cut by his high school team and then got beat down by the bad boy Pistons twice before he realized that he had to hit the gym and build some muscle to withstand the physicality of Bill Laimbeer, Rick Mahorn, and Dennis Rodman. Now, when he did, it elevated him to GOAT status. Tom Brady had to sit behind Brian Griese at Michigan and watch him win a national championship, and then sit behind Drew Henson, and then wait till the 6th round to get drafted by the Patriots, and then sit behind Drew Bledsoe to realize that his lack of athletic ability required him to develop pinpoint accuracy and a borderline psychotic level work ethic. When he did, he became the greatest quarterback in NFL history. Jordan and Brady had to be stripped down. They had to have their egos completely destroyed in order to grow and become better. When a woman gets with a man who has his shit together and requires her to be the very best woman she can be, according to his standards, by the way, his expectations, he's going to break her down. He needs to. He has to. When he does this, her self-esteem goes right out the window. She questions her opinion, she questions her emotions, she questions her memory, and she questions her self-worth, as she should. Because you see, ladies, if you really want a good relationship with a man who's worth a damn, your ego will have to be destroyed. He's going to have to break you down so that he can build you up. He can't build you into the kind of woman worthy of love and respect if he builds it on a foundation of your faulty programming that makes you think it's okay to put your relationship at risk each and every day. Devin will not hesitate to tell you that I broke her ass down. I had to strip her down to the studs, and trust me when I tell you, she didn't like it. Being broken of her bad habits was not an easy process, but she'll also tell you that she's a better woman for it. Devin is without a doubt the very best version of herself. She's mentally sharper, she has much more self-worth, and she's healthier than she's ever been in her life. And this is mentally, physically, and emotionally. So yeah, Ms. Riordan, you're right. Your self-esteem does drop significantly, especially when you're with a man who demands your best, which is something you're clearly advising women against wanting. Number 3. You spend most of your time disappointed. She continues, sometimes your person promises you things without following through. Other times, fun nights are ruined with intense fights. Whenever you experience a little bit of happiness, it gets taken away rather quickly. Your relationship is a roller coaster with a million ups and downs, mostly downs. Notice how she didn't give any specific examples of broken promises. But then she jumps right into fun nights being ruined with intense fights, and happiness being quickly taken away. What she isn't telling you is that the fun nights that are ruined with intense fights are because of things she's done during those fun nights. She'll get on the phone and she'll tell her best friend about how her possessive, controlling asshole boyfriend Donovan took her home for what she'll characterize as no reason. But she won't tell her that it was because she got chatty with the waiter and that Donovan does not tolerate this kind of disrespectful behavior. She'll complain about the fight they got into, about him not allowing her to go to happy hour after work with the sales department. But what she won't tell her is that Donovan will withdraw his commitment as soon as she goes to clubs or bars, even if it's for a work function. Gentlemen, I'm here to tell you, women are only disappointed when they can't have their cake and eat it too. It's like when they describe a choice as an ultimatum. Women only describe a choice as an ultimatum when they don't like their options. They call choices ultimatums when they can't have it both ways. What Holly fails to mention is that 9 times out of 10, these, quote, fun nights that are ruined with these, quote, intense fights are caused by them getting out of pocket and their boyfriend not tolerating it. Everything is harmonious and peaceful when she can stay out of pocket without any consequences or repercussions. But if a man has the audacity to just up and leave because she had a headache and didn't want to give up the booty at the end of the night, she characterized this as happiness being taken away. Why? Because happiness to a woman is getting all of the benefits without any of the costs. And any man who abides by quid pro quo is toxic and oppressive. Far be it from us to withdraw our resources when they can withdraw their sexual attention. My mistake. Number 4, you start to lose your sense of self-worth. Your person always gets their way. She says no matter what, they end up on top. They pick movies, they pick restaurants, they pick road trip music. No matter what the argument is about, there is never any compromises. They always win. Your opinions slowly stop mattering. What Holly just described here is dominance and submission. Not only that, she used a disingenuous hyperbolic standard to define what she calls never any compromises. And let me explain what I mean here, and I'm going to use myself as an example. Even though I make all of the decisions, Devin's opinion and input definitely matters. I make the final call. Yes, I do. There's no question about that. But dominant men understand that 2 heads are better than 1, and that we don't always have all of the information to make the best decision. Yes, I decide on the movie. I decide on the restaurant. Yes, I even decide on the road trip music, but Devin has a voice because A, she's earned it, and B, I can filter out the good information she gives me from the emotional, impulsive gibberish that her female mind can sometimes produce. You have to be wise. You got to listen. Holly is describing a man who has the final say as always ending up on top because, like most women, she thinks of relationships as a competition. They always win, she says. No, Miss Riordan, relationships aren't about winning. They're about submitting to a dominant man. When the man is dominant and the woman is submissive, that's not losing your sense of self, quote unquote. That's called being what you're hardwired to be. And when this happens, everybody wins. What she did here at number 4, gentlemen, is coalesce arguing with submitting control. And those are two very different things, guys. She's telling us that she's telling women that if they're with a man who makes all of the decisions, they're going to lose their sense of self. This is why we have women who compete with their men, then wonder why they're miserable. Then they go out and cheat with a man who makes all the decisions. So she'll tell her friend, OMG, Keith always has to pick the movie. He always has to pick the restaurant, the road trip music in the restaurant, but then wonder why she's losing attractive to Keith. Then, years later, she'll tell that same friend about an affair she's having with Kevin in sales and say, Kevin picks the day, the time, and the hotel. I don't even have to think. I just love that he takes control. Holly is advising women to push back when a man exhibits true masculine dominance because their opinions will slowly stop mattering. It's clear to me that she's never truly experienced the joy and relaxation that comes with being a man who is in control. Number 5, you cover for them with your friends. She continues, whenever you retell stories about fights you've had, you censor them. You make sure you don't say too many negative things about your person. You make sure they look a little like a little better partner than they actually are. What she's saying here is actually true, but not in the way she would have you believe. And here's why. When she tells her friends about how you run your relationship, they're going to hit her with the typical shaming language like he's toxic, he's controlling, he's possessive. So in order to avoid these kinds of statements made about their red pill boyfriends, they sort of water things down. Now, at this point, one might ask, well, why would she have to do this if he were such a terrible boyfriend? And the answer is really quite simple, because she wants to stay with him. Right? Because, listen, when a girl wants out of a relationship, the narrative with her friends is completely the opposite. The way your woman describes your actions is dictated by the way she feels about you. So, for example, if she wants out of the relationship, she'll tell her friends, oh, I hate that I have to give Steve a play-by-play about where I'm at, who I'm with, and what I'm doing. But if she likes you, if she respects you, she won't complain to her friends about having to check in. In fact, if one of them asks, you sure do text Donovan a whole lot, she'll say, yeah, I like to check in with him from time to time to let him know what I'm up to. If she covers for you, then she likes you. If she complains about you, she wants out. Ms. Riordan is characterizing a woman's censorship as something she's doing to hide the fact that her boyfriend is some sort of sadistic monster she's desperately trying to get away from. But women don't cover for men they don't like. Moreover, they don't want to hear their friends talk about how abusive and toxic he is when she tells them that, that she's not going with them to the club on Saturday night because he doesn't date women who go to clubs. That's the real reason women censor their relationships with their friends. It's because they know these girls are not willing to pay the price for a good relationship and will do their level best to sabotage her. Devin made this mistake when we first started seeing each other. She told her best friend about the requirements that I make and the way I do things. And when Devin finally asked her why she didn't like me, this is what she said. Take a look and listen. Out on a double date, Kim declined and used one of her typical excuses. Well, Dev, she wasn't buying it this time. So Devin texted, and I quote, "Can you tell me why you dislike Donovan?" Just asked her straight up, why do you not like my boyfriend? Gentlemen, Kim's response verified exactly what I had been telling Devin all along, and this is why red pill women who tell their friends about their red pill boyfriends and husbands, this is why it's always a bad idea. Here was Kim's response verbatim. She said, quote, "I don't dislike him. I don't even know him. I think we're hugely different in how we think as far as relationships go and women." Big shock there. She continues, she says, "It bothers me that you don't look like my friend Devin anymore. You sent me a pic once, and I honestly had to do a double take before I realized it was you. I met you, and you were like me. Low-key, wore boots and jeans, t-shirts, or tanks. I remember coming to your apartment and asking if you used the gym, and you said Donovan didn't approve, and you had to work out in your apartment. And I remember, this continues, I'm still quoting Kim here. She continues, she says, and I remember feeling taken aback that you could not exercise in the apartment's gym you paid a lot of money to be in. I didn't like when you were injecting yourself with drugs to look younger that he provided to you. I remember feeling, she continues, afraid that you were hurting yourself and that maybe the effects of it wouldn't be known for years. I just feel like, then this is where she hits the nail on the head. She says, I just feel like everyone should be their authentic self. If you love Doc Martens, she says, and jeans, more power to you. If you love flannel shirts and leggings, wear them. If you hate heels, throw them out. Somebody time out rugby. Somebody time out rugby. You're getting on my goddamn nerves. Get the fuck out of here. Don't ban him, just time him the fuck out. Like he's starting to get on my nerves. Like, do not use ellipsis game in my chat. Like, get the fuck out of here with that. Anyway, she says if you hate heels, throw them out. If you're aging age, you can't really stop it. People love you because they love you just the way you are, not because they mold you what is the ideal in their mind. I think him and I are totally different people with a different way of thinking, and I think there's a lot of potential to butt heads. Oh boy. My bad. Women who are in red pill relationships, okay, they end up having to censor their boyfriends all the time. This, of course, is because they know how their friends will react. Notice how Kim said, oh, you're injecting drugs into your body, blah, 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 blah. No, sweetheart, that's called HGH. That's designed to keep her as attractive as possible for as long as possible. And then, of course, she says, well, when I came into your apartment, I had to, or when I get a picture, I had to do a double take because I don't recognize who you are. You're goddamn right you don't. That's called change, gentlemen. That's called renaissance. That's called influence. Let's go to number 6. You make sacrifices for them even when you don't really want to. If you don't give your person exactly what they want, they whine about how you must not really love them. They trick you into thinking if you really cared about them, you would do what they ask. Women make sacrifices for women they love, guys, period. If she doesn't love you, then she won't make sacrifices for you. It's that simple. What Holly just told us is that she hasn't met a man worth sacrificing for. She'll say she makes sacrifices, but she obviously does not. But even if she did, she wouldn't have added the redundant even if you don't want to phrase. Men of value don't have to trick women into anything. We make our expectations clear from the jump. We let women know that if you do X, Y, Z, then you get to keep my commitment. But when a woman describes a man who voices his expectations as tricking you, she doesn't really want that man. Number 7, you become convinced that you're the crazy one. Your person, she says, accuses you of overreacting to situations, and you've started to believe him. You've started to wonder whether their calm, cool attitude means they're the ones in the right and you're the one in the wrong. That's because you are. Women are the crazy ones, guys. Women do overreact to situations. Devin cut her finger in the kitchen the other night and she freaked out. She wanted to go get stitches and go to the hospital and all the rest of this nonsense. I told her, you'll do no such thing. You'll wrap up your finger to stop the bleeding and you'll be fine. And guess what? Her finger didn't fall off. Who knew? A man who holds frame and does not allow a female's overreaction to affect him, indeed, means that he is not the crazy one. To be honest with you, I think that this one was just sort of a filler, just to kind of fulfill the article's word count quota, because the fact that she's trying to convince us that women don't overreact, that's just silly. Everybody knows that they do. Number 8, you might become manipulative yourself. She continues, you might start telling little white lies to avoid setting them off. You might get sneakier about your behaviors in order to feel like you have a little bit of freedom. You might end up manipulating them back in your own way. These are the musings, gentlemen, of a woman who is doing things she knows she shouldn't be doing. Why would you have to lie to avoid setting him off if you were doing the right thing in the first place? Here's another thing. All women are manipulative, but Miss Riordan is blaming men for a woman's manipulation tactics. If you're with a manipulative man, you might become manipulative yourself, as if to imply that the only reason a woman is manipulative is because she learned it from her boyfriend. Gentlemen, girls learn to manipulate from a very young age, and nobody has to teach them how to do it. They figure out how to do it very quickly, and it usually starts when they begin to discover that men want to have sex with them. What she's doing here is convincing girls to tell themselves, yeah, I was never manipulative. I only got this way because of Rick. Totally his fault. And finally, number 9, she says, you feel like your only choice is to stay with him. Maybe they have said that they would hurt themselves if you broke up with them, or maybe they have insinuated, Jesus, I'm rusty, guys, insinuated that no one would ever love you as strongly as them. No one would ever put up with you for as long as them. No one would ever give you as much as them. Either way, you are wrong in thinking you cannot leave. You can always leave. You can always make the choice that's best for yourself. She's actually right here, guys. This is indeed manipulative behavior. A man who says he'd hurt himself if a girl broke up with him is manipulative and cowardly. And yes, women can always leave. I say this all the time, guys. You cannot control women, nor should you want to. What this comes down to is something that I've said for years, and that is nobody, man or woman, should ever take relationship advice from women. Like I said, guys, Holly Riordan is making women radioactive to the kinds of men that they actually want. But ladies, if you want to end up with a guy like this, let me go back here. If you want to end up with a guy like this, right? If you want to end up with a guy like that, go right ahead and take this advice. But don't come crying to me when you can't figure out why he won't grab his Y chromosome and act like a man. Because when you characterize a man's standards and expectations as manipulation tactics, this guy is what you end up with. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.